Hey, what's up guys, back again with another video in the Spigot series. This time I'm going to show you how to work with inventories and items for your Minecraft plugins.
But you can't do it like this, but you can't do it like this. What all on my wrist? I came through and got rich. I'm way too high to be sober, so please don't cry on my shoulder.
Alright guys, so like I said, I'm going to teach you about inventories and items. So basically I'll be teaching you how to make inventories and then let the user open the inventory when they tap a command and just stuff like that. And then also how to make items and then put it in the inventory, and then also give the items some metadata, like, you know, we can enchant the items and give them other cool little features, okay? So you'll see. But anyway, let's just create the plugin. So select Spigot plugin. Of course I have the Minecraft plugin extension for our plugin for IntelliJ. And so now we give it a package name, so me.illuminati productions. I'll give it an artifact, which is going to be the project name. I'm going to just call it inventory plugin. Let's call it, actually, we'll call it vault plugin. Because basically what we're going to do is make it so they can type /vault, and then it's going to open up a custom inventory for the user so they can like basically put items in, okay? So we'll click next now, then let's put some information in here. A plugin for a player to store their items. Authors Illuminati. Okay, just some basic, you know, settings here. So let's click next, then we'll set the file location name. So I'll put it in the folder called Vault plugin. Alright, so now it's gonna install everything, or we'll load it, I guess. And so gotta give it a second. So enable auto import. We can get rid of this, we don't need it. Let's see. So the first thing we want to do, of course, is open this up so we can see what we got here to work with. And so we have our main package here, main class here, of course, so we can, you know, add some stuff. So just for when the plugin starts up, let's print out a message here. Put the Vault plugin has started up. Okay, pretty simple, right? And so let's make a command here. Okay, so let's make a new package inside of here, and we'll call it commands. And then inside of there, we'll make a class, which is going to be our command. Okay, so we'll call it Vault command, because that's going to be the command that lets them do /vault and then open up a custom inventory. And so whenever you're working with commands, of course, you want to implement command executor, okay? And then of course you want to put your unimplemented method, which is going to be the onCommand method here. And then make sure you put return true, okay? In the past episodes, whenever they, you know, typed a command inside the Minecraft server, it would repeat the command back to them in the chat. That's because we had it as return false, okay? So basically that's a problem, because whenever the plugin would execute, no matter what they would do, it would always return false at the end, right? So that means to the Spigot plugin that the command failed, okay? And so if the command failed, it wanted the command to repeat the usage. If we go here to our plugin.yml, our command is going to have a usage. So let me show you here. So commands, vault, description, open a vault, then usage, which is basically going to be telling the user how to use the command if it returns false, or if the command fails, okay? So that's why I did that, in case you're wondering, okay? But anyway, let's get the command started here. So the first thing we want to do is check and see if an actual player typed the command, okay? We don't want the console, obviously, to run this command, because a console can't open, you know, an inventory. That doesn't even make sense. If it's not a player, then we'll do this. We can say sout, you need to be a player to execute this command. Pretty simple, right? And so the first thing we want to do is get an instance of the player that's, you know, that had executed the command. So player equals, and then we'll cast player, make sure it's capital P for that one, sender, okay? So what that's going to do, of course, is get the person who sent the command and then store it as a variable so he can access it, okay? So to create an inventory, which is going to be like, you know, a little thing that pops up so players can, you know, move items around, basically, you'll see. So to create one, you could do inventory. You have to create a new inventory object. So inventory, and we'll give it a name of vault, because it's going to be the player's vault. So inventory vault is equal to bucket.create inventory, okay? And if you do Control P, you can see the parameters that it wants. It went away for some reason. There we go. So the first parameter is going to be the owner of the inventory, okay? So that's going to be the actual player, of course, that opens it, okay? So player, and the next is going to be the size of the inventory. If you want to put that in there, you have to actually, because it's the second one here, as you can see. So usually for inventories in Minecraft, it's going to be in rows, right? So it's going to be 9 slots on one row. So usually you want to do it by multiples of 9, okay? So 9, 18, 27, 36. So I'm going to put 9 just to keep it simple so you can see. And then now, if you want to, you can add a third parameter, which is going to be the title. And I'm just going to call it your vault. So whenever they open it, it's going to say your vault at the top, okay? So that's what that's going to do. So now that we created this vault, it still doesn't open it to the player. The player can't see this inventory. So to make the player see the inventory or open it like you would open up your normal inventory, you could do player.open inventory, and then you just pass in vault, the inventory that you just created, okay? So that's basically going to let them open an inventory view whenever they type /vault, okay? So if you don't know what I mean, I'll go ahead and show you. So if we go ahead and open up Maven here, and let's go ahead and run this, and it's going to, compile the whole plugin and then put it in a special folder so we can use it, all that fun stuff. So we'll give that 1 second. Okay, so it's done compiling the plugin, so we're going to right click here. Then we're going to do, let's see here, show and explore, so that's going to open up the file location. Oops, not that. Open the wrong thing. We can close this. There we go. So let's copy Vault plugin, okay? So that's where we're going to copy. So copy that. And then we want to go to our actual testing server, okay? So we'll go to plugins and then we'll paste it in here. Then we're going to start up the server, obviously, so we can test it out. So I'll give that some time. I'll be right back. Oh, we forgot one thing, by the way. We need to actually register the command in the main the main class here. So we're going to do git command, which is going to be where we store the name of the command. So git command, and then it's going to be vault, of course, and then set executor, which is going to be the name of the class that the command is stored in, okay? So new vault command. Oops, not that one. Vault command, just like that, okay? So that's all you need. So let's go ahead and recompile this by clicking the plus right here. Or not the plus, the whatever that symbol is, the run symbol or play symbol. So I'll be right back. Alright guys, so we're on the server now, so let's do /pl to see if we have the plugin on here. And as you can see, we have the vault plugin exactly right there, okay? So the first thing we want to do, of course, is actually test the command, so /vault. And there we go, so we get this special little inventory open here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slots, and then at the top it says your vault, like we told it to, okay? So that's awesome, right? Now we can actually get players to open custom inventories, okay? So that's very useful for some plugins that you might make. So for example, a plugin like maybe a menu plugin, so you can open up a menu so the player can select something from the menu, or maybe a shop plugin so players can look in the GUI inventory and then see items they might want, and then they could buy it from the inventory and stuff like that. That's just some examples, but there's many possibilities now that you know how to do this, okay? But that's not it. I'm going to teach you way more. So let's go back here and let's see what else we can do, okay? So now that we can actually make an inventory, let's make it so we can put items in the inventory, obviously, because sometimes you might want to fill the inventory with some items that the player can look at, okay? So to make an item in Minecraft, you have to make an item stack, okay? That's the name of the class, okay? So item stack, and then we'll give it a name. So item 1, I'll just call it that. You can call it whatever you want, obviously, is equal to new item stack, okay? So that's going to be a new item stack object. And so what you want to put in here, if you control P, the parameter it wants is a material type, okay? So that basically is the material of the block that you want, okay? The item that you want. So basically it's just the item, okay? So material, you could do like this, material, and then you can select any of the materials from Minecraft, okay? It's a lot, and so you can choose any of them, okay? So let's just choose something random here. We'll choose clay ball. And then if you want to, you can choose how many. If you do control P to see the parameters, you can choose the amount, okay? So I'm going to choose 2. So 2 clay balls, okay? So that's going to set 2 clay balls equal to the item stack of item 1. Wait, I just realized we're in the wrong class. Wow, that's sad. Oops. So we'll cut this here, and then we'll go back to here, and then we're going to put it right here. And there we go. So it'll import all that for us. And so yeah, how do we put this item inside of this inventory or vault, right? Well, we can do that by doing vault, the inventory dot set item. Okay? And so as you can see here, it wants 2 parameters, okay? First it wants the index, okay? So that means what slot do you want to put the item in? So it's 0 based, so it's like an array basically, so it starts at 0. So if you want to put in the first slot, you put 0, okay? If you want to put in the third slot, you'd put 2. 0, 1, 2, yeah, 2. And so let's try that out. So 2, and then next is going to be the item stack itself, okay? So now we put the item in here, so item 1. And so what that will do is set the value of this 2 clay balls equal to, we'll put the 2 clay balls in the slot, basically. That's all it's going to do, okay? So yeah, let's try that out, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's slash reload to load the plugin in. Okay, now it's done, so let's do slash vault. And as you can see here, it has the 2 clay balls that we put into the third slot. So it works perfectly, right? And we can move it around, take it into our own inventory, and do whatever we want. So it's really cool, right? So that's how you do that. You can set an item in a specific slot. We can just keep this one here. We'll keep that in the second slot. But let's say we're going to put another one of these 2 clay balls into, our inventory, right? We could do that. So vault dot, and then there's another method we could use to add item. It's called add item, okay? So that only takes one parameter. It's just going to be the item stack. So item 1, okay? And so what that's going to do is just take that item and then put it in the next available slot. So in this case, it'll probably just be the first slot because it's empty, right? The slot that's filled is going to be the third slot, right? So let's try that out. Okay, so let's do slash vault. Boom, and now we get 4 clay items. Okay, that's interesting. It stacked it for some reason, okay, instead of putting it separately. Okay, anyway, so that's just an example of how to use that. I guess if you had another item, it would probably just put it in the first slot, because it doesn't stack onto clay, right? So that's just an example of how to use those 2 methods. That's how you add any item to your inventory, okay? But let's say you want to clear your inventory, like empty the inventory, you could do that too. So vault.clear, that's all you got to do, and that'll empty the inventory completely. And that's basically how you add any item to your inventory, right? Very, very simple. So let's say you want to add multiple items at once, okay? Like a full maybe inventory, right? We could do that with an item stack array, okay? So that's going to basically be an array of item stacks, right? So multiple items in an array, okay? So let's make one of those. Item stack, and then the array sign, and we give it a name of items because more than one. And then inside of here we can put all the items that we want to put in here. So item 1, and then we can put another item in here if we want. So let's go ahead and make one. Item stack item 2 is equal to new item stack. Inside of here we'll put material beef, because why not? And then we'll put 3 beef just to keep it unique, and then we'll put in the second item into this array. So now we have an array here of item stacks, okay? So basically 2 items in 1 variable, okay? So now if we want to put all of these at once inside of this inventory here, we could do that. So it'd be vault.setContents, and that's how you set an item stack array, as you can see here, as the parameter to the contents of the inventory, okay? So the thing is, whenever you put an item stack array with the setContents method, it's basically going to replace the whole inventory, okay? So it's going to empty the whole inventory and then put it in there, okay? So it's going to replace everything else. So anyway, let's just test that out and see what happens. As you can see here, we put both items into the inventory, right? So we put, let's see here, we have the item 1, which is going to be 2 clay balls, and then we have item 2, which is going to be 3 beef. And then we set the contents of that inventory to these 2 items. It replaced anything we put up here, because it's set content, so it replaces everything. So put it in there, and then as you can see here, it did that. Anyway, so basically we were able to set the contents of an item stack array, okay? So that's how you send multiple items into the array. But one more thing we can do with the item stack array. So if we go ahead and make one here first. Item stack items 2 is equal to, basically what we can do is take the whole inventory and then set it equal to a variable, okay? So we can get the contents of the inventory and then set it to that item stack array. So maybe if we want to save the value of the inventory for later use or something like that, so we can do that. So we can do vault.getContents. Oh, and as you can see, if we do get contents on the right side, it says the return type, so it's going to give you an item stack array. Or you can do get storage content, and we'll set it equal to items 2, and that's how you do that, right? So that's how you do any of that. That's basically it for, setting the contents of an inventory, creating an inventory, basic stuff like that. If you want to see more inventory stuff, you could just do vault.set, and you could set some other details. Nothing really that extensive. I pretty much covered anything and everything. But in case you're interested in everything that you can do with the inventories and stuff like that, I'll give you this link here. It's to the documentation. One second, let me open it here. And as you can see here, we have this inventory class opened here, and it gives you everything you can do with the inventory class, okay? So as you can see here, we can get the title of the inventory, and it tells you exactly what it does. And you can get a description of all the methods and a list of all the methods if you're interested, okay? So that's how you do that. And so that's basically everything with inventories, right? So now I'm going to cover everything about, items, right? So let's say you want to put custom items or make your items really cool, right? Or spice up your items, okay? So we can do that. Let's just get rid of this stuff here. Delete that. Let's say we want to customize this item here. We can do that. We can do item1 dot, and then we could set a bunch of data. So let's say we want to give it an enchantment. We can actually do that. So add unsafe enchantment if you want to add an enchantment with an unlimited level power. So you want to put the enchantment here. So enchantment, and then you can choose any enchantment in the game. So pretty cool, right? So if you want to set arrow knockback to these 2 clay balls, you can do that. And then of course the second parameter is going to be the level of the enchantment. So we can put 1000 if we want to, because it's an unsafe enchantment, okay? So that's how you add enchantments to your items. But one other main important thing we can do is add metadata to your item. So item dot set item meta, okay? And so metadata, if you don't know in programming, is basically so think of an image, right? An image is an image, right? It's a picture, right? And along with the picture, you have a bunch of data, right? Like what type is the picture? Is it JPG? Is it PNG? Then you have the date of the picture when it was taken. You have the size of the picture, and you have a bunch of data associated with that piece of maybe an object or something, right? So in this case, also the item is an object, right? And we can set a bunch of extra data to it, okay? And that's going to be your item metadata, okay? So to add item metadata, let's get the item metadata of the current item that we have, right? Because to actually set the item metadata, you have to get the item metadata that it currently is, okay? So that's weird, but that's how you do it. So item meta, and we'll call it meta, is equal to item1 dot get item meta, okay? So that's going to return, as you can see here, the item meta, which is going to be your metadata. And then now once we have that as an object, we can do meta, and then we can set a bunch of data for the meta, okay? So one of the main things that we can do is set the title maybe of the item. So set the display name, same thing. So set display name, and we could do chat color if you want to. You could set a color for it, so aqua, and we could say item name, something like that. So that's going to give the item a custom name. We can also set some other stuff. So set we can do some enchantment stuff. So set unbreakable if we want to. Meta add enchant, like I said, enchantments. And then of course we can set the lore, okay? So the lore is basically a paragraph or something, or a list of strings that appears under the item, okay? So to make a lore, it's going to take a lore parameter, as you can see here. So to make a lore, it's going to take a parameter, as you can see, but it's going to be an array list as a parameter, okay? So we have to make our custom array list, the lore thing, okay? So array list, it's going to be a string, because it's going to be a collection of strings under the item. And then we'll call it lore is equal to new array list. And then inside of here, and there we go. And so if we want to add some strings here, we could do that. So lore.add, and then we can put whatever we want, literally anything. So we can also give it color if we want to. So chat color.gold, and we could say some lore, just that'll appear under it. And then now if you want to add another line of lore, we could do lore.add. And if you're wondering what the heck we're doing, don't worry, I'll be showing you in a second once we load up the plugin. So chat color.dark purple, and then we could say some more lore, just like that. So now that we've added these 2 strings to our lore array list here, we can add it to our metadata. So set lore, and we just plug in lore just like that, okay? And now that we've changed the item metadata, we can actually set the new metadata equal to the item, okay? So we can do that. So we'll do item1.set meta, set item meta, and then we just plug in meta just like that, okay? So what that's going to do is set all of this data here equal to the item, okay? So it's going to give the item all these metadatas, okay? So anyway, let's run the plugin and see what the heck I just did. Okay, so we loaded the plugin, so let's do /vault. Let's see, it's actually empty. Let's see why. If we go back here, we can see that we actually never added the item to our inventory because we deleted that line. So that's stupid of me, but let's go ahead and add the item. So vault.add item, and we'll say item1, and then do we need another parameter? Nope, we don't, because it's just add item. Okay, so it's going to add that item. Okay, so restarting again. Now let's do /vault, and then now we have this item here. As you can see, it's enchanted. So if you hover over it, we get a bunch of data. So as you can see here, we have the display name of the item. I'm pointing to my screen, but you can't see it. But just imagine I'm pointing at it. So as you can see here, the title is aqua color, and it's item name. That's exactly what we set it to right here. So that's how we set that. And then also, let's go back here. We set the enchantment here. So it says punch enchantment level 1000. We also set that, as you remember. And then unbreakable at the bottom too, because we set unbreakable equal to true. Awesome. And then finally we have the lore here, right? So the lore if we look here, it's going to be some lore and then some more lore, as you can see here, and they're colored. So it's basically just, you know, like I said, extra strings under the items, maybe some description or something of the item itself, okay? So yeah, that's how you set some data for the item. We can take the item if we want to. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, that's how we do any of that. We can set, you know, the data of the item. We can set the name of the item, give it any features that we want to give it, okay? So I hope you enjoyed that. Basically, we've covered everything we can learn about items and inventories. I mean, all the basics at least. You know, of course, we're going to cover some more extensive stuff in the future. So yeah, you should be equipped to make some cool plugins now, you know, with some inventories, some items, and give the player some items, give the player some inventory stuff, anything you want to do. So yeah, if you have any questions about what we did, you can of course ask in the comment section. I'll be glad to help you. Or you could look in the description for our Discord link. You could join our Discord, hang out with us, ask questions, whatever you want to do. And then also, finally, we have a link here to our code from today's episode, okay? It's going to give a description for everything we did. You know, so you might want to save this for future reference in case you forget how to do all of this, because I even forget how to do some of this sometimes, so it's good to have a reference. So make sure you save that if you want to. I'll leave it in the description for you. So anyway, if you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and peace.